What's up? What's up? I hope you're all well, okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to chat a little bit of shit while everybody gets on tonight for another big live. And then we're going to go balls deep, as always. Balls deep is the only way to go into how ketosis affects your metabolism. We had a fucking awesome question from Anne, who's a member of the Shred community. She said, James, please talk about how ketosis affects the thyroid and the metabolism. I'm like, yes, we're going to go into that. We're going to go hard at it. So we're going to get into it. And so, yeah, so as always, comment any questions that you got. I've already got Geordie online. How are you, big fella? It's always a pleasure to have you on board. Good to see we've got Anthony there as well. Thank you for making an appearance, big man. So yeah, guys, tonight's going to be a really, really big one because there's a whole heap of stuff going about keto at the moment. I mean, there are Muppet coaches out at the moment who are like, oh, have a keto diet for you and a keto diet for you and keto diets for everyone, without recognizing that there are actually some people who don't respond terribly well to keto diets. Okay, and we're going to go into a little bit of that tonight because the keto diet is awesome. It is next level. It is really, really good. It can, make huge changes about, with so many different things. All right, but big but, it's not for everyone. All right, but most importantly tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to go into how it affects your metabolism and particularly your thyroid. So it's going to get a little bit sciencey. So genuinely, you might actually want to get a notepad out because I'm going to be speaking about a fair bit of stuff. And my bogan Australian accent can be a little bit hard to decipher sometimes, and I do speak quickly. So let me know if you don't catch something, and we'll go into it. All right, here we go. So I get all the shredders on here. Ketosis and the thyroid. Post. And also, for those of you who aren't a member of the show community yet, just do it. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be. Because there are a bunch of legends in there, absolute legends. My team are in there as well. So you got Joel, Clint, Kim, all those legends are there too. And you can get in amongst it and learn an absolute shitload. Alright, so I'm just going to put up the link there now for you. And I'm going to pin it right to the top so you can see it. Monty, James, right in the middle of the leg down your program, so much pain, so much hurt. Get off live, Monty. Mate, I know that my lives are good. I know they're very, very good and you want to be here when you're lifting. You want to be here listening to me pontificate all the time. But don't, alright? Go in, hit your fucking legs, get it done, then afterwards come and watch and post any questions up. Okay? Righto. Let's get into it, guys. Okay. Ketosis is by far the biggest, it's one of the hottest topics in fitness at the moment. Because everyone's doing it. Every Tom, Dick and Harry wants to get on a keto plan. Some people are like, no, fuck keto. Keto doesn't do anything. The only way keto works is through a calorie deficit. Like, really? Like, are you stupid? Have you looked at anything ever in your life? I mean, that's the most retarded thing that I've ever heard, that keto only impacts fat loss via a calorie deficit. And it only works in a calorie deficit. It's just stupid. Plain simple no. So you got that crowd on one side. Then on this other side here, right, you got this crowd which say, you know what, man, if you're just keto, you'll instantly lose fat and you'll be instantly healthier and everything's going to work well as long as you do keto, okay? And they say everyone should do keto. I mean, it's awesome. Keto, you get to eat bacon and eggs and all this, and everybody should be doing it. Athletes should be doing it. Marathon runners should be doing it. Everyone should be doing it, all right? There are also Muppets too, who really don't understand that keto isn't for everybody and that everyone needs actually like an individualized plan, all right? You need to suit each person. Does that sound familiar? So yeah, pretty much we've got two ends of Muppets, right? And where I like to sit is in the intelligent middle, where I acknowledge that ketosis will work well with a calorie deficit and that ketosis will work for a lot of people in a lot of ways and has a shitload of benefits, but not for everyone, okay? So, first things first, what is ketosis? Ketosis is when you eat a very high-fat diet, okay? When you're eating, perhaps 50, 60% of your calories coming from fat, and when your body stops running off glucose and it starts running off ketones. Ketones are the breakdown or the byproduct of fat. All right, so you need to deplete your carbs in order to get into ketosis. You need to have a low carb amount, and you need to have a very, very high demand, a very high energy demand, which you can't sufficiently supply with carbs, and then your body will shuffle into ketosis, right? And then it starts having a lot of really good effects, some of which can be like, it's neuroprotective, prevents inflammation, all that sort of stuff, okay? So that's ketosis. Now, the other part of this video is talking about the metabolism. How the metabolism, what your metabolism is essentially it is protein synthesis. It is the amount of protein turnover in our body. Everything in our body is made of proteins, okay? It is run by proteins, the whole lot made by proteins. And when we make protein, it expends energy because it's very, very expensive to make all these proteins, okay? And so when we have a high metabolism or a fast metabolism or a high metabolic rate, we make a whole heap of protein, and we also break down a whole heap of energy in order to make that protein, all right? And these proteins do all the functions. They make us think, they make us gain muscle, all that sort of stuff, okay? So yeah, that's what the metabolism is. Now, the thyroid gland, this thing here, your Adam's apple for dudes, or just around there, or is that even right? Yeah, your thyroid gland, whatever. The thyroid gland is the gland which regulates cellular metabolism. Okay, so it regulates your metabolic rate through the production of two hormones, T3 and T4. Okay, T4. So there's a hormone in your brain called TSH, which stimulates the production of the thyroid. Right in there, so it stimulates the production of your thyroid, all right, and it makes your thyroid make T4 and a small amount of T3. Now, T4 is what we call like a precursor hormone. It doesn't do much itself, but it's then converted by the body into T3. Now, T3 has a very, very big effect on the metabolism, like a very, very big effect on the metabolism, okay? And so, when you get these, when you get the production of T4, it needs to be converted into T3 to really have any effect whatsoever. And now what T3 does is it binds to this thing called the thyroid receptor. Whenever you have a hormone in the body, the hormone itself is only effective when it binds to a receptor. So it needs to actually bind to a receptor in order to have an effect. Now this is very crucial for later on, okay? The purpose of having T3 and having this the TSH, the brain hormone to go down to your thyroid, to go to T4, to go to T3, to go to the receptor, is so that the body can very, very tightly regulate the metabolism. Because if we have a very, very high metabolism in periods of starvation, it's not very good because we burn all our energy when we don't want to be burning our energy. Likewise, when we have a huge, huge energy surplus, that's the time when our body wants to stimulate protein synthesis and grow and develop and change. And that's when we want lots and lots of thyroid hormone and thyroid receptor, okay? Now, when people start dieting, such as you guys, you start dieting, the first thing you do is you start eating less. Now, what this has a twofold effect on the thyroid and the thyroid hormone. Number one, you get reduced brain stuff, you get reduced TSH going down to your thyroid, which in turn makes less T4, which in turn makes less T3. Now, at the same time, this receptor over here, the stuff that T3 binds to, you also get a reduced amount of receptor, right? And so that actually decreases. Now, at the same time, you also have an increase when you're in an excessive period of a caloric deficit and you're eating very, very low amounts, right? You actually get an elevation of stress, so your stress levels go up, like dramatically. And when your stress levels go up, it increases the production of T4 to reverse T3. Now, reverse T3 doesn't bind well to the receptor at all, and it has no effect. And it actually effectively takes that receptor out and stops it from working at all. This isn't good. This is why people get fat, okay? And so pretty much, when you're eating a very, very low amount of calories for an extended period of time, not only will you have less T3, less of this stuff, but you'll also have less thyroid receptor, okay? And when you got both of those, a reduced amount of both of those, you'll notice that when you stop dieting and you try to eat more food, that's when you start gaining fat, even if you don't think you're eating that much food, even if it's slightly more than what you were before, okay? And so that's one example as to why you should not be just concerned with eating as minimal as possible. You need to be eating more. But back onto the task at hand. When we eat carbs, we actually stimulate the production of T3 and we stimulate the production of the thyroid receptor, okay? So whenever you eat carbs, it stimulates insulin. Insulin stimulates leptin. Leptin stimulates the production of T3 and I think it regulates somewhat the thyroid receptor, okay? But most importantly, it increases the amount of T3 output. That is why some people who diet will have refeeds. That is why I give my guys cheat meals, okay? In order to stimulate a little bit of T3. It doesn't do a whole heap, but it does a little bit, okay? It does help. Now, when you have a low carb diet, obviously you don't have carbs there, so you don't stimulate insulin the same way. Now, what happens in a lot of those people, and a lot of the info suggests, is that because you don't stimulate insulin, it actually lowers the amount of T3 and T4 produced. That's correct, it actually does lower it. However, what people are saying, some people who don't understand ketosis, like those Muppets who say the only way ketosis works is calories in, calories out. Like those guys have got no idea whatsoever what they're talking about. Those guys, they don't understand that just T3 levels alone aren't that important. If you've only got the T3 levels, it doesn't really mean much because you've still got the receptor here. So if you have high levels of receptor with lower amounts of T3, you still have a good effect. If you have low amounts of receptor with high amounts of T3, it doesn't do much at all there, okay? So you actually need to be more concerned about the receptor. Now, when we're in ketosis, a number of beneficial things happen, okay? The first of which is when you're in ketosis, your stress levels often go down. The reason being, or your cortisol levels go down. The reason being because when you have higher levels of inflammation in your body, your stress levels go up, your cortisol goes up, and that brings your thyroid hormone levels down, and it also brings your thyroid receptor down, okay? Now what ketosis does is it allows your body to clean all this stuff up, and it allows it to, fix itself and make sure that it's all getting a lot better and working a lot harder. Now, if we are on ketosis, we will actually, even though we have lower levels of T3, we will actually have a much better effect with the amount of T3 than what we would, well, some people say, and what we would if we had a high carb diet and we're not fixing up the inflammation, okay? So there is no real downside to being in ketosis on your thyroid hormones or your thyroid receptor. In fact, it actually upregulates it, right? It makes you more sensitive. As you all know, we want to have low levels of systemic inflammation, okay? Low levels of systemic inflammation, and that's how our body functions best. The next thing is, when we have a bad gut, we create more endotoxin, all right? And what this endotoxin does, well, it's because we have excessive bacteria and bacteria in the wrong places. And when we get these things, these bacteria release this endotoxin, which perforates our gut lining and causes inflammation and causes damage. And what researchers have noted is that it actually decreases the amount of thyroid receptor expression, and also, it decreases the amount of thyroid hormone produced, and which in turn can hinder the thyroid receptor expression, okay? Meaning that it has a twofold bad effect. Now, what we can do is if we use ketosis in order to help alleviate some of the gut conditions and alleviate the inflammation and fix that, it also reduces this, meaning that we'll actually have better levels of thyroid hormone and thyroid receptor, okay? So, in summary, people say all the time that ketosis downregulates thyroid production and downregulates the metabolism. It's simply not true. You will not experience any slow of fat loss when you're on ketosis, especially not compared to when you're on a very, very low calorie diet where you're trying to still have a lot of carbs in there, okay? Now, at the same time, ketosis isn't for everybody. You need to really pick your time when to use ketosis and when not to. So, for example, if you have fatty liver or you exhibit symptoms of fatty liver, like the inability to digest fats, you're not going to have a good time in ketosis, and I would not recommend it whatsoever. On the other hand, if you're somebody who's chronically inflamed, you can digest fats quite well, but you can't digest carbs well, then ketosis is going to be your best friend. So you really need to pick your times when to do it, and you need to know what to do in order to get optimal results for you. Okay? Now on that note, that's all that I wanted to cover tonight on this topic. There's a shitload of info in there. I know it's a lot to take in, but ask any questions that you've got, okay? So, first things first, what do we got here? Jeremiah, how do you get so massive? You eat rice, brother. Lots and lots of rice. We got Stephen O'Connor. Trend hard, D-bowl for breakfast, and test D for lunch. Did you come up with that yourself, mate? That was well said. Very, very well said. Alrighty. I'm going to go through some of the questions of the street community right now. Guys, if you have anything that you want to ask, put it up and we'll go through it. Here we go. Let me find this. Geordie, what are the main foods to stay away from with keto? Well, if you're looking to stay in ketosis, you need to make sure that you are having less carbs, all right? So you need to make sure that you have less carbs, more fats. That's the easiest thing. Other than that, always stay away from foods which irritate your gut, because that's not a fun time at all. Now, Andrew just asked, will antihistamines ruin your gut? Antihistamines are terrible, like terrible, terrible things. Do not take them at all. If you need to take antihistamines, you need to fix your gut, all right? What antihistamines do is they actually increase the amount of histamine over time. So your body has a natural regulation of histamine, or the stuff which stimulates the inflammatory response. And if you are using antihistamines all the time, it actually stops the breakdown of it, so that in future you'll end up with higher levels of histamine in your body, right? So it's not good. Acute use, once or twice, yeah, that's okay. But long-term use is going to have a bad effect on histamine, which will affect the gut. So antihistamines themselves don't directly affect the gut like non-steroidal anti-inflammatories will, but it will have a bad effect on your body overall, leading to a bad effect on the gut. Dan, how do we deal with the thyroid problem? Well, it depends what thyroid problem you got, big fella. What do you have? Catherine, is sweating and dry mouth signs of being in keto? Sweating, well, it depends how much you're sweating. If you're profusely sweating, I don't know. My main symptoms of being in keto were crystal clear focus, really good blood sugar levels. Like I felt like, well, obviously good blood sugar levels because I'm not using it, but really stable energy levels, constantly feeling very, very alert, and my strength actually went up dramatically. Right? So they're the symptoms that I got. Sweating and a dry mouth, probably doubt it, man. Probably doubt it. All right, especially for you. So yeah, I don't think that they are symptoms of keto. Where are the other questions I had? Let me find them. Ash Singh, can we run on ketosis for long term, or do we need to switch back to carb diet and then back to ketosis? It depends on your goals, man. If you want to go for performance, then you shouldn't be in ketosis all the time, because ketosis just isn't as good for performance as what having carbs is, alright? As for if you're just looking for general health and longevity, then yes, ketosis is your best mate. Ketosis will make you think better, make you live longer, will make you live healthier, all that sort of stuff, if you do it right and the right way, okay? So it depends on what your goal is. What is your goal, Ash? Where are these? All these questions. Where are all these questions? Oh, I've got a really good one today from Eric in the street community. Now he asked, pretty much he's taking a whole heap of nootropics to keep him buzzing and keep him focused for uni, but he is he's having a whole heap of issues with his focus, all right, and his ability to function cognitively after a while, because he just has a massive drop in energy. So guys, if you have a massive drop in energy at the middle of the day, all right, what you need to do is you need to start meditating and working your naps into those times. Some people will just naturally get sleepy at like 2 p.m. Right? Some people, it just happens as part of their rhythm. Right? It's how they're built. So what you need to do is you just need to take a quick 15-minute nap at maybe 1:30 p.m. All right, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, wake up, bang, keep going. The other thing you can do is even earlier in the day, meditate for 10 to 15 minutes, and that'll actually alleviate that and keep you going well. Alrighty. Now Tony asked me last night, do I have a digestive system course yet? No, I don't have a digestive system course yet, but we are bringing out a digestive system course, pretty much which will teach you everything that you guys need to know about the digestive system and everything I do for my clients. Where are these questions? I lost them. I had them all here and I lost them. Not happy. I will get them, guys. We're going to find them out. We're going to find them. Or maybe not. Or maybe I'm not going to find them at all. Now look, I might as well continue going on about something else then, considering I can't find all these questions. And that's pretty much one that I get all the time is how do I boost my metabolism? How do I make my metabolic rate go faster? Now let's go back to the very start of this video. We went over what is your metabolism. Your metabolism is protein synthesis. It's the building a muscle, building your protein, okay? Now, when we are building protein, when we are damaging our body and stressing it with weights and gym and sort of stuff like that, we increase our metabolism. So the best way to increase your metabolism is to build more muscle, is to lift heavier, is to lift harder. So if you want to build your muscle, you need to just lift more weight in the gym, go to the gym more frequently, and exercise more frequently. If you want to have the world's best metabolism, right, you need to make sure that you're expending lots and lots of energy every single day. You're exercising constantly, you're outdoors all the time. The next thing you can do is you can also hack your mitochondria, right? Now, a lot of people have mitochondria are the things that produce energy, okay? And these things, when they're working, nice and well, you produce a lot of energy very well, and you'll have lower fat levels. Generally, you'll have very, very high energy levels. You'll constantly feel good. Now, what you can do in order to hack these mitochondria is you can do a short period of fasting and intermittent fasting, as well as with a bit of ketosis, and that will actually clean out these mitochondria and actually increase your energy expenditure that way. Right? So that's my answer to that question. Now, Sammy, feel as though last time I tried it, I get myself into keto. I'll say that again. Feel as though last time I tried ketosis, I get myself into keto, and I feel a truckload of dizziness, feeling tired and weak as fuck. Assuming caloric intake was too low, but how would you avoid? Increase your calories, man. Just increase your fat and you'll be sweet. Guys, if you get that on keto, alright, and you don't have a specific plan, a specific reason for those calories, you just need to increase your amount of fat. Catherine, how can you tell if your body processes carbs properly or not? Alright, if you get bloated when you eat carbs within 2 hours after eating them, then your body's not processing the carbs terribly well at all, right? If you feel good after doing it, then they process it really well. At the same time, if you introduce carbs to your diet and increase your carb intake and you suddenly start getting fat, you don't work with carbs too well at all, right? The next thing is, if you ever have a gut issue, you're generally not going to process carbs terribly well at all. Sometimes, because when you won't process them optimally, but that doesn't mean you should avoid carbs, okay? So you should, sometimes carbs are a necessary thing to have in your protocol, even if you don't digest them well, because they do actually help the gut bacteria and the gut biome work really, really well. So I kind of massively contradicted myself and probably confused it just then. But to answer your question, short and simple, all right? If you bloat, if you get gassy, if you burp, you have weird bowel movements, stuff like that going on, then your body is not processing carbs well. If not, you're sweet. Tom, is it bad to go to the gym some days in the morning and some days in the arvo? No, not really. Doesn't matter, man. 9 a.m. is no more anabolic than 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. All right? The only thing that matters is that you're getting your food in, you're getting your sleep in, you're having enough rest time, you're balancing out your 5 stresses. All right? And that's it. Now, Scotty Hills asked, how many hours of sleep should we have a night? All right, good question. I recommend a minimum of 8 hours of sleep per night, like an absolute minimum. But more than that is optimal. So if you can get more than 10 hours of sleep per night, that would be the best thing that you can do, really for your gains. All right. Next question. Could an increase in calories much bigger than normal upset the stomach? When you increase your calories, all right, and you're eating a lot more food, you may notice that your stomach struggles to digest it, but it's not because of the calories, it's just because of the volume of food and that your body may not be producing enough of the digestive enzymes and stuff to break it down, okay? So that can have a really, really big effect on it. Brody, hey James, I've just started going to the gym. What sort of food would you recommend? Lots of meat, lots of veggies, a bit of oil, fats, and a small amount of carbs, man. That's all you need to get started. Really as simple as that. So Laura asked, I'm constantly craving sugar. How do I fix this? When you got sugar cravings all the time, it's a signal that your brain chemicals, your neurotransmitters are not working well. Not happy days at all. It also shows that your gut microbiome is not functioning optimally and that you need to fix it up. So if you have sugar cravings, what you need to do is two things. You need to boost your dopamine, take something like theocrine or take a bit of inositol or tyrosine. The other thing you need to do is to fix your gut microbiome and start taking a bit of berberine or chromium picolinate or metformin, and that'll sort you out. Okay? Look, on that note, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I hope you got a lot out of this. It was a bit of a different one, a fair bit more in depth. But if you have any questions, ask away and I'll help you out. Okay? On that note, I'll leave you to it. Take it easy.